Coming up on the week in review, it's hot outside, but runners are still running, soccer players are still kicking, and power bills are still rising. Also, we take a look at how the Metro Atlanta Venezuelan community is coming together to try and help those in their homeland after a recent devastating earthquake and aftershock. This is WAB's Week in Review, the show where we look back the last few days of stories from your WAB News team. I'm Alex Helmick, managing editor of WAB News. On the show today, how some in Atlanta's Venezuelan community are coming together to help those suffering in their homeland. But first up, the 4th of July can mean many things to different people. For many in Atlanta, it's the annual Peachtree Road Race. The Atlanta Track Club, which organizes the event, said it is moving ahead despite the expected extremely hot and humid temperatures today. That's July 4th. They have issued a red flag warning for the start of the race, which means runners should take extreme caution. The Track Club is urging runners to slow their pace, use cooling stations along the way, and hydrate. Last year, the event drew more than 50,000 runners. Atlanta is currently under a heat advisory until Saturday evening. The heat index, again, is expected to top 100 degrees on Saturday. The heat this week also came as fans were gathering here for World Cup matches.
I'm originally from upstate New York, so this heat is tough. I froze for 42 years up north. I don't complain about the heat down here, but it's hot.
Oh, it's nothing. It's fine. In Texas right now, it's 96 all week. So this is okay. So we're good.
Oh my gosh. I keep water with myself all the time and taking a lot of electrolytes. It's been hard.
That was England fan Rick Annenberg, DR Congo fan Alexia Kashama, and FIFA volunteer Francine Kohera. Well, with this heat, many Georgians are likely to see higher electric bills this month. That's still happening even though Georgia Power lowered its fuel rate. WABE's Emily Jones explained why.
Two of the main factors in a power bill, how much energy you use and the rate the utility charges, both increase in the summer. Cranking up the air conditioning to fight rising summer heat drives up your household's energy use. And millions of people all over Georgia running their ACs can put a strain on the whole grid. Matthew Kent is a spokesperson for Georgia Power.
When we need to produce more energy at a peak load like that, especially from the hours of 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., it does cost more to create energy.
For that reason, Georgia Power and many other utilities charge a higher base rate for electricity in the summer. That higher rate multiplied by increased usage means bills can be 30 to 50% higher for a typical customer.
The good news is there are steps that people can take to make their homes more energy efficient.
Liz Coyle is executive director of Georgia Watch, a consumer advocacy group.
Depending on their income level, some can get access to no-cost services to come out to make their homes more energy efficient.
Home energy audits, discounts, and rebates on energy efficiency measures are available through Georgia Power and the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority. Emily Jones, WABE News.
Switching gears now, the FBI is directing 260 staffers to its investigation of the 2020 election in Fulton County. A memo obtained by the Associated Press describes it as a priority for the agency. WAB's Melissa Fado had more.
Fulton County has been a key part of President Donald Trump's unfounded claims the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him. The memo does not describe details of the investigation. People familiar with the matter who insisted on anonymity to discuss internal decision-making confirmed with the AP it's related to the probe into the 2020 election in Georgia. The FBI field office in Atlanta declined a request for comment. The Bureau raided a Fulton County elections office in January, where hundreds of boxes of elections records and ballots were seized. The county is sued to get its records back, but in May, a judge decided the federal government could keep them. Melissa Fato, WABE News.
Former Republican Georgia U.S. Senator Saxby Chambliss and former Democrat DeKalb CEO Michael Thurmond are chiming in with how America can get out of its current political environment. WABE's Raul Bali had more.
The Democracy Defense Project features former Democratic and Republican politicians who want to rebuild confidence in the country's electoral process and politics. Chambliss, who served from 2003 to 2015, pushes back on current efforts, including by President Donald Trump, to get rid of the filibuster.
If we wanted to get any piece of legislation through the Senate, you had to get 60 votes, so you had to work with Democrats.
And while Chambliss is optimistic about the future of politics, former DeKalb CEO and recent Democratic candidate for governor Michael Thurmond says,
ultimately, we must create candidates who can actually win with a message that transcends the hyper-partisanship and the toxic nature of the political arena today. Unless that happens, we'll be in this, what I call, political death spiral for a while.
This event held at the Temple in Atlanta also featured former Democratic Atlanta Mayor Shirley Franklin and former Republican Georgia Congressman Drew Ferguson. Raul Bali, WABE News.
The Georgia Department of Natural Resources has approved spending $7 million to officially acquire almost 3,000 acres of land near the Okefenokee Swamp, formerly slated to become a mine. WAB's Marissa Mecki reported the story.
Last summer, nonprofit The Conservation Fund announced it had acquired almost 8,000 acres of land next to the swamp, once obtained for a controversial strip mining plan by a company called Twin Pines Minerals. Now, Stacy Funderburk with the Conservation Fund says the first steps are underway for the state of Georgia to buy some of this land and permanently protect it. He says the land Georgia DNR is buying
will become a new state wildlife management area called Alachua Trail WMA, right there along the southeastern edge of the Okefenokee.
He says the Georgia DNR is using money from the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program, which collects the tax revenue from the sale of outdoor gear to complete the land purchase.
This is a great opportunity for new recreation opportunities. I think a lot of folks in that area will be excited about hunting and rec access.
Plus, he says it will provide space for the state to work on longleaf pine restoration and protect species like gopher tortoises and indigo snakes. Funderburk says the DNR will buy another 1,000 acres early next year to complete the wildlife management area. The remaining 4,000 acres will eventually become part of the federal Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge. Marissa Mecki, WABE News.
A new mail forwarding service is available to help prevent abusers from locating survivors of domestic violence and other crimes. WABE's Shemaine Cruz had the details.
Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says the Safe at Home program was built on a very simple principle.
Every Georgian deserves to feel safe in their home. For survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, stalking, or sexual assault, something as simple as your home address can put them at risk.
Home addresses are easily accessible on state and local public records, but now participants in this free program can receive a designated substitute address where the Secretary of State's office can forward their mail. That address will also appear on public voter rolls.
It's about giving survivors the opportunity to rebuild their lives without having constantly look over their shoulders.
A similar program is already in place for members of the judiciary in Georgia and dozens of other states. Most are administered by the Secretary of State's office, given that they were started so survivors could securely vote. A spokesperson for Raffensperger's office told WABE that the Georgia General Assembly provided $250,000 for the program following the passage of Senate Bill 324 2 years ago. It took effect on Wednesday. Shemaine Cruz, WABE News, the Georgia State Capitol.
You're listening to WABE's Week in Review with me, Alex Helmick. Find more at WABE.org. Well, Metro Atlanta's Venezuelan community is pulling together to support those impacted by the two devastating earthquakes that struck the country back-to-back recently. WABE's Lily Oppenheimer went to a local staple in Alpharetta to talk to those trying to help.
Gloria a Dios por eso, no, pero lamentablemente no tenemos como...
Volunteers in the Venezuelan store have spent hours boxing up personal hygiene products, medicines, and even pickaxes and other tools to aid in the recovery efforts. It's a bodega/deli/restaurant that is normally stocked with Venezuelan cooking essentials, but now half of the store has been reconfigured to hold donations. Store owner Larinda Pestana is from Caracas and still has family there. Many of their regular customers do too. She says people already had little resources before under the past dictatorship of Nicolas Maduro. Now the earthquakes have left a mass number of people with nothing.
We have suffering so much stuff before, and now with the terremoto it's worse. Like the people cannot find anything at the pharmacy.
She says one of the most important donations people can make are medicines.
You know, Venezuela is not like a regular country. Like, it's very hard for us to find medicines there. And right now, of course, worse. Tylenol, ibuprofen, alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, higiene personal, like diapers.
The U.S. Geological Survey says that with this type of disaster, it's possible that tens of thousands are dead. And then there's the humanitarian crisis.
There is a lot of kids without families there. No father, no dad, no mom, no grandma, just alone. So we are collecting a lot of stuff for the babies and a lot of stuff for moms.
The first shock from the quake was reported at roughly a magnitude of 7.2 on the Richter scale, followed by a larger earthquake less than a minute later at 7.5. On paper, both are considered major earthquakes that can cause near total destruction. Julio Camargo stopped by the Venezuelan store to drop off a donation. He has family in one of the hardest hit areas of La Guaira. He says thanks to God, they're okay. They were trapped for a while in a collapsed building with their little dogs. Camargo says it was a moment of total anguish for him and his family last Wednesday night, waiting for news from his brother. It was so difficult. He didn't sleep. He knows now that they're okay, but in his gut, he's still living with this strong, ugly feeling, witnessing the aftermath of the disaster. The Atlanta metro is home to one of the largest populations of Venezuelan immigrants in the U.S. That's according to the Migration Policy Institute. Like both Camargo and Pestana, most have fled here within the last decade, and most live in Gwinnett, Fulton, Cobb, and DeKalb counties.
Customers, families, they still have family there. They came here crying and tell the stories. For us, it was like, wow, they need us.
Pestana says Atlanta is one major hub for relief efforts, and she wants people to know this isn't a one-off donation drive. She's still looking for future volunteers and says many local businesses will keep sending boxes to warehouses bound for Miami and then Venezuela.
We already sent around like 85 boxes just for our store. Imagine other stores and other communities. We have here a very, very good community, Venezuelan people. And it's not also Venezuelan people, Mexican, Colombian, American people came here with donations.
She says it's been an emotional year. 6 months ago, many Venezuelans celebrated the U.S. military capture of former President Nicolas Maduro. Now, despite the country's vast oil reserves, she's seeing videos of Venezuelans forced to dig their loved ones out of the destruction with their bare hands.
So thank God we have a lot of community outside of Venezuela.
Para ver si ellos la donan ellos o nos pueden colaborar en enviar algunas cajas a Venezuela.
Lily Oppenheimer, WABE News.
Finally, today, WABE is exploring the country's 250th anniversary through an Atlanta lens. We're visiting local museums and archives to hear how objects in their collections help tell the nation's story. Today, a piece of history that went to the moon. WABE's Molly Samuel tells us about it.
The Jimmy Carter Presidential Library and Museum has way more than letters, speeches, and memos from his time in office.
We also have, the spoon that Rosalind used to feed the kids.
Emily Curl is a museum technician here.
Some of Jimmy Carter's favorite books and his favorite portrait of Dylan Thomas, the poet. And so it's a full sweep of essentially Carter's life.
Including this gift he received when he was president.
This is a flag. It's a framed and mounted flag.
An American flag, not a big one. It's 4 by 6 inches.
What makes this so spectacular is this flag was presented to him by the crew of the Apollo 11, and it was actually on the Apollo 11 and on the Eagle spacecraft lunar lander with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong.
This flag was there with the first astronauts to step foot on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Carter held a ceremony honoring the 10th anniversary of the 1969 Apollo 11 mission, and the astronauts gave it to him then.
And he gave a really wonderful speech. He says, the pioneer spirit that built our great country is symbolized by the footprints of American astronauts on the bleak landscape of the moon.
Curl says this flag is from a moment that continues to be an inspiration.
I do believe it is one of our greatest triumphs, right? As Americans, it is something that was a unifying event.
As for Carter, the same year he got this flag, he also stepped in with funding to save the space shuttle program. A couple years prior, for the Voyager mission, he sent a message of goodwill into the cosmos on behalf of all of humanity. Molly Samuel, WABE News.
For more on this special series, go to wabe.org/US250. That's all for this portion of the Week in Review. My thanks to the WABE News team for all the great work. You can get more at wabe.org. I'm Alex Helmick. Thank you for supporting WABE News and for listening to the Week in Review.